Okay, thank you for joining us. Today we have award-winning writer Alex Wheatle with us. He's the author of 16 novels. He might correct me and tell me there's more than that. MBE, Carnegie Medal winner of the Guardian.
Hold on, no, I didn't win the Carnegie. I won the Guardian. I might have got long listed for the Carnegie, but I won the Guardian.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Not winner of the Carnegie Medal winner. I'm not even going to edit that. I'm just going to be honest. There you go. Yeah. Winner of the Guardian Children's Fiction Prize, screenwriter, poet, and now immortalised in Steve McQueen's Small Axe series. Hello, Alex.
Hi, good to be with you. Yeah.
When you hear that kind of introduction, which bit of that is the bit that makes you feel like, yeah, that's the bit I love that I did, or resonates most with you?
Well, just being a published author. I mean, for a guy with my background, without much potential, perceived potential, I look back and think, wow, how did that happen? And, I just picture myself as a young kid. I mean, this is prior, my depiction in the Steve McQueen drama, where I was 5 or 6 years old, trying to read magazines just for escapism. That's where it came from, that love of story, that love of reading. It came all the way back to that point where me in a dormitory would sometimes pick up a discarded Beano magazine or Whizzer and Chips. I'm not sure if you're old enough to remember those magazines.
Oh, yes,
I am. And you remember one called The Dandy? That was a favourite of mine. And I would read these under the bed covers with a bicycle torch in my formative years. And little did I know where this reading journey would take me. So I always think of those days when, people introduced me MBE and so forth, all the laurels that are offered at me. I look back on those days. I really do, and think I've come a long way.
16 novels. It's quite a lot.
It's a bit.
It's quite a long journey.
Yeah.
Have you got a favourite?
Have I got a favourite? Oh, that's a very good question. I guess writing a novel is like, no way would I compare it, but I guess it's like having children, where you cannot choose a favourite. But I guess the books I'm most proud of are Island Songs. Island Songs has this Jamaican history to it, where when I was reunited with my mother, and she related to me her journey of life, growing up in a small village in Jamaica, in St. Mary Parish, in the late 30s, early 40s. That really resonated with me, and I wanted to use that as the spine of a story, if you like. And so I'm very proud of that effort, because I had to do homework. It wasn't like Easter Acre Lane, where I actually lived through those events. With Island Songs, I hadn't lived through those events. And I've very rarely been to Jamaica at that point. So I'm very, very proud of Island Songs. I'm very, very proud of what I achieved last year with Cane Warriors, about the slave revolt led by Taki in 1760 in the same parish where my mother grew up. So I'm very, very proud of that too. So, and also Homegirl, I really like that too, because I'm addressing children in care, in this age, in this contemporary age, what it is like now for youngsters to go through that system. So I'm very, very proud of that, and I could tell viewers or listeners to this that there will be a play based on Homegirl, hopefully opening later this year. So there's that to look forward to. So I'm proud of all my books. They're like babies to me, but some, I guess, like Island Songs, like Homegirl, like even Easter Acre Lane, they do have special significance to me, because either through family connections or real life experiences and so forth.
So how involved are you in writing the screenplay for, not screenplay, sorry, the script for Homegirl?
I decided to let somebody young attempt that. I always felt it's better. I mean, I think with my written works, I always prefer that somebody comes on board and they can add what they can bring to it, what energy they have, or what how they see it as. I think that's a lot more healthy rather than me kind of saying, "Oh, I'm the big one here. I'm the big shot. I'm doing this and I'm doing that." I mean, I'm quite prepared to write original works for the stage or the screen, but I think for adapting my own work, I always prefer to see somebody else doing that, giving them an opportunity to see what they can do, and I'll support that all the way.
Brilliant. So you really are like the parent who lets
Yeah,
the child grow up and
that's
lets it
right.
kind of go out into the world a bit.
Absolutely. I think I'm at an age now where I really want to see the young generation take on this storytelling, whether they adapt my books or whether they create their own works,
Yeah.
to give them support. Because when I first started in this game, I was offered very little support, very
Yeah.
little. So I want to be that person who is not aloof from everything, that sits in my ivory tower, doing this and doing that, and receiving laurels from everywhere. I really want to get down to ground level again and help those people up the stairs.
Yeah, brilliant. So we're in the middle of COVID, just in case anyone's watching this in a year's time and going, "What's a COVID?"
Yeah.
I don't think that's ever going to happen. But how's COVID impacted you? Because I've watched a couple of interviews with you in the early stages of COVID, when I guess we all kind of thought it wouldn't last this long. So
Yeah.
you've had a year. How's it hit you? Has it changed anything for you?
Like everybody else, it's made me reflect. It's made me appreciate the work that I had. For example, visiting schools, students, and doing my readings publicly in festivals. I really miss that. And the lockdown has proved that, because I'm kind of scraping at the walls here, wanting to get out and promote my work and read from my work, and interact with audiences and students and so forth. And I've been denied that. So, and I really missed that. I found and discovered that, oh my God, I really want to get out there again and do my thing. But obviously, I cannot do that. But at the same time, I really appreciate that I'm very fortunate to still be doing what I'm doing. I can still teach. I'm teaching online at the moment for my students up at Manchester Metropolitan University. So I'm still able to earn a wage, where so many others, they're denied that through no fault of their own. So I really feel privileged in a way, and lucky that I'm still able to do what I love doing.
Wow. And so obviously in COVID, Cane Warriors came out November, December, I think.
October last year.
October.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Taki's story and the slave revolt story narrative, I always wondered why it wasn't out there on the curriculum, not as well known as some other major incidents of colonial history. And it really has to be one of the foundation stones for anything, for any kind of story written about Caribbean history. And so I'm very proud of that. And its reception has been amazing, absolutely amazing so far. So, and Welton Blake, I'm very proud of that too, because it makes people laugh. And I guess I wanted to show an aspect of my character, because usually when before people meet me, they think, "Oh my God, Alex Wheatle, is he that serious? Is he gonna, is he gonna throw a firebomb at me or something?" But I think it just shows.
I did.
I think it shows an aspect of my character that, hey, I can be funny, I can be humorous, I can create funny moments. So, and people often forget that even though I lived through desperate times, now and again I had big fun. I had big fun. And Welton Blake is basically a collection of events that happened to me at various schools, So those awkward years when you get to fancy a girl and you're trying to drum up the courage to ask her out, and you don't know what she's going to say and do, and then you kind of embarrass yourself in all kinds of different scenarios. We all have those moments, don't we?
Oh yeah.
I mean, people often say to me that, these books are for 13, 14-year-olds. But hey, you was 13 once, I was 13 once. And often as adults, we forget how awkward and embarrassing and shameful and humiliating those memories are or were.
Yep.
So
I've got to tell you, I read it. I read Welton Blake in one sitting, couldn't put it down.
Thank you. Yeah, I wrote it as like maybe a 13-year-old would remember it. And so you have to remove your adult self and go
Yeah,
back to your
yeah,
mindset of a 13, 14-year-old and remember how awkward, how embarrassing, and how sometimes painful those
yes,
years were because they were, weren't they?
yes,
They,
yes,
they were
yes,
for many of us. So I just wanted to capture that and put it
yes,
in a book like Welton Blake. And I think we need that, don't we? Especially our children who are
yeah.
suffering really badly. I mean, can you imagine when we were young, being denied to go to blues dances and parties and so on? I mean, would we not break out?
Yeah.
So, they're going through an awful lot. They really are. And they need something to laugh at. They really do. So,
Yeah. I've got to ask you though, have you ever sold a cuss?
yes. Yes, I have. Yes, I come up with some very good cusses. I cannot describe them right now because people might think Alex Wheatle, he's a bit evil, wasn't he? But yes, I did. Yes, I did. I sold one or two cusses.
I did try to imagine. I've always been quite a sharp kind of person with a bit of a sharp tongue in my younger days.
Yeah.
And so I tried, my first thought was, why didn't I think of that? I could have made a fortune in
Yeah.
school.
Mind you, with modern interest rates, I think I probably made something like 2 pence or 5 pence a cuss back then. No 50p's or a pound for
No,
me.
no.
And I used to spend the money on a jamboree bag. Well, I'm really going back now. I don't know if people remember jamboree bags where you had a little lollipop, and
Yep,
I think there was a deposit of sherbet or something that
that's
you dip the
right.
lollipop in.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I spent my cuss money on that. So I paid for it later on with my teeth.
And I'll admit a bias here is that have been a youth worker for a long time. I'm not
Yeah.
anymore. And so I've spent a long time around young people. But do you get to a point where you think I'm too old to write about teenagers?
Yes, absolutely. And Snap, I was a youth worker for a number of years, and I think that's what propelled the whole Crompton series. And in fact, because I felt, I'm getting too old to write this. This is why in the Crompton series, I started to develop my own kind of language, my own kind of sayings and slang and so forth. I mean, people think I'm a genius at language and slang. No, I'm not. It's all some of my own stuff. So I'm kind of getting away with it here.
Yeah.
But I do worry that, oh my God, when I'm writing the next one, I think, oh God, will the kids think this is cool? So sometimes I feel lucky when I'm going to the outer reaches of the Hebridean Islands or something. And the kids say to me, Alex, is this how they chat in South London? I say, yeah, it is. But no, it's not. It's me. But, the important thing is if it entertains, and that's for me, that's the buzzword. We're writing for children, we're writing for young adults. So it's my duty to try and entertain them the best way. And at times, yes, I'm going to make them sad. I'm going to make them laugh, but I want to come away from a book of mine and have the feeling of being entertained.
Yeah.
For me, that's the most important thing.
Yeah, yeah. And I think being able to get books into young people's hands that they're thinking, I could read this,
Yeah.
and I find that, obviously we own a bookshop that promotes books by Black authors. But one of the most common questions I'm asked, usually by aunts and uncles, is, well, how can I get my 13-year-old niece or nephew, my son or daughter, to read? And my answer is usually, well, let's find a book that reflects them.
Yeah,
let's find a book where
absolutely.
they're represented. That's the first hurdle. But then the next thing is, how will they relate to this? Will it make them laugh? Will they go, oh, this is a nice read, this is an easy read? The contrast, the average 13-year-old these days thinks that reading is mice and men. And they're just like, again,
absolutely.
why?
So
It puts them off. So to be able to say, hey, here, try this. Look, this kid's from an estate. You're from an estate. Your friend's from an estate.
Yeah.
How does this look? It looks very different, doesn't it?
Absolutely. So that is who I write for. I mean, anybody can read it, but I'm writing for that average kid in the street who just wants to be entertained, just like I was when I used to hunt down magazines when I was a kid. I wanted to be entertained. You know, I wasn't reading Mice and Men when I was 9 or 10, 11 years old. I was reading the Beano. I was reading about Cuthbert the Bash Street Kids and all that, and they made me laugh. They made me come out of whatever environment I happened to be in. You know, obviously it was harsh, but it offered me a space where I could be me. I could be a kid and just enjoying life. And that's what I want to do with books like Welton Blake. And I really enjoyed writing it. I mean, sometimes I had to stop writing because I was laughing. Because I remember myself in a similar situation, you know, and I mean, I just use those memories to inform the narrative, if you like. And I think that's what a good writer does. They just use their own kind of lived experience and put it on a page and be honest. Because when I was 12, 13, 14, those are the awkward years. You know, I'm sure it is for girls too, the awkward years. You know, a boy asks you, oh, do I say yes? Do I say no? What will my friends say if I say yes? Is he too ugly? And I really like him, but my friends might say, don't go with him, don't go with him. They might laugh at me, you know. And in those, when you're 13, 14, they are major life affirming decisions, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And we forget that as adults.
Oh, yeah, so quickly. Quickly forget. Do you think that that there's a danger that we just fall into a stereotype? I hear me right. I don't think you are writing to please a publisher. Far from it. But do you think that there is a danger we fall into a stereotype that, you know, Black authors are only published because they only write about Black issues?
Yes, there is a definite danger of that. And we have to be careful how we navigate ourselves into the publishing world and what stories we are kind of they expect of us. But speaking of my own experience, so far in my career, I've always written the stories I wanted to write. And you know, publishing, there's a massive space there for us, for all of our narratives. So if Dorothy wants to write about Black characters and issues are not necessarily Black-led, that is all fine and good. For me, yeah, fantastic, go for it. And of course, there should be other spaces where maybe a Dorothy Crimson-like narrative could be filled with Black narrative kind of things that mean very important to us. And there's no problem either way in my head. You know, there's these other people who say to us that there's got to be you in that box and you in that box over there and so on. I mean, white writers don't get asked these questions, do they? Whether their subject matters are because they're white people or whatever, do they? They never get asked questions like that. Why should we? And so for me, what I'd really like to see is Black romance, Black science fiction, Black crime, all these things. And not necessarily Black characters in them, and not necessarily Black-led issues, but just stories that we are populated in, and that's it for me. Obviously, I've taken my path. I'm very strong on whatever our experiences is, because obviously my upbringing leads me to that and put me on that path. But that doesn't mean that somebody else can't write about Brits in 1981 and do romantic comedy.
Yeah.
You know, with Black-led characters.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be Black feature-led, if you like. So I'm all for that. And I'm really hoping that the Steve McQueen experience, you know, with the Small Axe, would encourage others out there to write whatever narratives they feel is important to them.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be Black people writing or Black people or Black pain, if you like. You know, us depicted in our most painful circumstances. It doesn't have to be that. It could be Black joy. It could be all kinds of things. So I think publishers should allow us to create any kind of narrative that we choose. I think that's the next step for us.
Absolutely. In 2012, you've obviously been around for a long time. Not in 2012, you'd already been around for a long time. Yeah. You've been in the industry for 20 years?
Yeah, something
Okay.
like that. Yeah,
So you've seen a lot of things. You've seen a lot of changes.
yeah.
In 2012, in an interview, you said that it seemed to you that the only established writer of colour who writes about race and what's happening in the UK is Zadie. Do you
Mhm.
think that, have you seen any change in the past 8 years? Can you say that, you know, can you see progress in any way in that
Yes, I can
sense?
actually. I can actually, especially with black women's writing. That has moved forward in leaps and bounds. It really has. Not just because of Bernadine winning the Booker, but the variety of narrative that is now being offered that the publishers are now publishing, which
Mm,
for me is rich and varied, which is can only lead to good things. Um, I'm a bit disappointed in the way black men are published,
yeah,
and we don't seem to be progressing the same way
yeah,
in terms of literature fiction, crime fiction, you know, all the genres that you can care to choose. And so I am concerned about that. I mean, we have one or two or even three or four great black male writers coming up, people like Derek Caruso and people like that. But for me, there's not enough, especially from where my starting point was in 1999. And there was seemed to be a new wave of black male writing in the UK that included Courtney Llewellyn, um, Stephen Thompson, and there's a few others that, on top of my head, that I cannot quite remember the names, but there were a few of us. And I
mm,
thought that, okay, this is going to be a start of a big wave now. I mean, in 5 years' time, oh my God, there's going to be so many of us. But that hasn't transpired, has it? I mean, now I think you struggle to pick out five between 5 and 10 black novelists who published their debut authors in the last year or so. I would
absolutely.
struggle, and I'm sure you would too. So for me, that's a big concern.
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree. Totally agree. I think that, yeah, the two areas where we see in the shop, we see the biggest lack is male writers for literature. So
Yeah,
we can get academic books from
yeah,
male writers, but you know, everyday literature. I mean, I would love to see some, you know, black British writers, black male British writers writing, doing some science fiction,
yeah.
and really pushing out into some of these genres. And also in children's books, you know,
Yes, absolutely.
I'm bombarded with books about, you know, I like my hair, I like my skin, and they're
Yeah,
great, and we want those books. But we also desperately want books. I keep saying this in every interview. Whenever I meet young writers, I say, "Can somebody please write me a book about a black kid who meets a dragon, and that's
yeah,
just the story?" You know,
yeah, absolutely.
there's no other issues. It's just that that main character is doing, you know, a good fantasy book for young
Yeah.
children. But yeah, big lack. I totally agree.
Well, who knows?
Totally agree.
I might write that book.
Let's go
A
for
young
it.
kid meets a dragon. So who knows? It might be there somewhere in the drawer somewhere.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you're definitely right. There's a big lack of that right now. There is I might let me allow myself to recommend you an author, Peter Kalu, who I don't think gets enough support from the industry. I think he's a fantastic writer, and he's written books. I can't remember the name of it, where he has zombies playing against the football team, which is very entertaining, and I think he's very underrated. So there's Peter Kalu out there, and he's been writing for years, and he was even published before me.
Okay.
So so please look out for what he produces in the next year or
Okay.
so.
Okay.
But there's so few of us, and
Mm,
we really need to think about how we're going to convince
yeah.
young black male writers to write middle grade and write YA.
Yeah.
You know, because I mean, I think Benjamin came out with a book last year. I did,
Yeah.
and apart from that, then there's Dapo, who's a fantastic illustrator,
Yeah.
and then
Yes.
there's
Yeah.
Shana Jackson.
Yeah.
But after that, I'm struggling.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm really struggling, and for me, that's a disappointment. You know, especially in this time
Yeah.
and day and age, there
Yeah.
should be so much more of us. I'm not sure whether there is the amount of black male writers who are actually active at this moment, trying to produce middle grade novels or whatever. I don't know what submissions literary agents are receiving right now, but I'm sure they're receiving a lot more from Black women.
Yeah.
And so how do we balance that? I don't know. That's a question.
Yeah. Well, if you're out there and you're listening and you write, then please contact us and let's see if we can help you on that journey. Definitely. What are you currently reading?
I'm currently reading, I'll show you it. Where is it? I've got it somewhere. Boy Everywhere.
Oh, okay.
Boy Everywhere, which I'm really enjoying. So,
Who's the author?
A.M. Dasu. It's a story about a refugee who goes through all sorts of difficulties trying to reach the UK. So I'm really enjoying that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if I pinned you down and asked you what was your book of the decade, let's say.
Oh, is that including all books?
Yeah, anything you've read.
Anything I've read? Book of the decade? Oh my gosh! Wow, what a question that is. Oh God, how can I pick one? How can I pick one? Oh dear me, book of the decade. Can I get back to you on that one?
Yeah, definitely. I often think when I'm asked questions like this, I often think, well, I can tell you what my answer is today. Tomorrow it might something else will come to mind, because that's the nature of books, isn't it? It's that actually today a book has impacted me, and tomorrow I'm remembering something else that I read that hits me in a different way. So you accomplished great things as an author. You're clearly a very talented man. Gush. But I would like to know something you're bad at.
Something I'm bad at. Oh God,
come on, confess.
There's a lot of things there. Cooking fish is one of them.
Oh, really?
I made a bit of an error the last time I tried to steam some fish. Mathematics. I'm quite impatient, so my loved ones tell me. Yeah. Things I'm bad at. Oh dear.
I mean, don't destroy yourself. Don't give us a whole list.
Okay.
And so there is rumours of another historical-based book.
Yes.
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 I've heard the rumours.
Oh, you have it. Who did you hear the rumours from? So I can kill the spy. I want to kill the spy. Who's the spy?
I did do my research. I did warn you that I did some research.
All right. Well, all I will tell you is that it's a female hero. Yeah. It's historical. And my God, she kicks ass.
Yes.
She kicks ass. I mean, I'll give you a clue. Did you watch the Pirates of the Caribbean series with Johnny Depp and all that?
Do you mean as a parent, was I forced to endure that with my teenage children?
Yes.
The answer is yes.
Yes. Okay. Me too. And I thought, you know what? I really want a black girl to kick ass instead of Johnny Depp.
Yes.
So I'll leave you with that.
Excellent. I'm very excited. What kind of timeline are we looking at, do you think?
I'll give you another clue. That's all I'm going to give you.
Okay.
Captain Morgan.
Okay.
He's involved. He's involved.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's involved. Captain Morgan. You know where the obviously the rum brand came from.
Yeah.
And he used to own an estate in Jamaica, and he used to sail the seven seas, kicking Spanish ass.
Okay.
And he sacked Panama. He sacked Panama in, what was the year? I think it was 1668.
Okay.
So you're going to have to join the dots.
Oh, I am. I love a mystery. So, yeah. And I love a bit of research. Well, this is so exciting. This is not where I thought this conversation was going to go at all. I have been so pumped.
Yeah. So, I remember when I was a kid, I used to love those adventure stories, Treasure Island, Huckleberry Finn, and so I've written it in that vein.
Okay.
Very exciting to write. And you know what we discussed earlier about trying to engage kids in storytelling?
Yes.
So this is my attempt at trying to recapture what excited me about storytelling when I was 9, 10, 11, 12. You know, so I'm trying to put on the page that I found so exciting when I was a young kid.
Yeah.
So that is what my next novel is all about. Returning to pure storytelling, something that most literary authors cannot do.
Yeah, yeah.
We're trying to be fancy, you know. Oh, look how clever I am, rather than telling the story.
Yeah, and I think that's what we're talking about. There's a there's a real need, and I think I guess as parents and as both as ex-Brixtonians, and you know, we talked a little bit off camera, you know, about some of the similarities in terms of our younger lives, but this need for escapism is actually for me, and from hearing your story as well, it's what gave us sanity to get through difficult years as children. And we forget that actually our young people still need that. They still need these massive escapisms.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, being able to put your head in a book and find absolute pure adventure.
Yeah.
It's so exciting.
It's a joy, isn't it? It's a joy when you can discover a book like that does to you what it did to me when I was a kid. I mean, obviously, I was living in extreme right now, especially now as we've gone through this COVID time. What is almost a year now, and so we have to, writers like myself, we have to offer children of all ages some kind of escapism, and sometimes all kids might not find escapism through television or Netflix or whatever. Sometimes it's nice to put a book in their hands and say, look, this will take you away to a place where you've never been to. And so I think my next book tries to attempt that.
Yeah, very exciting. So we're going to come back to your book of the decade.
Oh, book of the decade. Okay. I'm going to go for. Can I say book of 2019?
Okay.
Can I be allowed to get away with that? And I read Benjamin Zephaniah's Windrush Child. I think is one of those essential stories that we need to know and our children need to know. And so may I nominate that one? Okay,
excellent.
And also,
I actually just picked that up.
Let me nominate
off my bookshelf today.
Oh, great! So also Jason Reynolds, his Run series. I think that is fantastic and brilliant. For me, that is the series of the decade.
Okay.
If I can put it that way, the series. I think he's written 4 of them. There's Ghost, there's Lou, there's what's the other one? But yeah, and again, what the series does, it engages anybody out there who happens to like stories. I mean, sometimes kids tell me, oh, but is it as good as what I see on TV and whatever? I say, what? Read it. And they read it. Oh, it is good, isn't it? It is good. So Jason offers that.
Brilliant. And then my final question, what would you like to tell 20-year-old Alex?
Oh, 20-year-old Alex. Who's going to be watching this? Is it kids?
Probably not.
You know, okay.
But I'll let it out if it's too X-rated.
I would tell 20-year-old Alex that oh God. Maybe stop spending too much time in record stores. I mean, again, no. I would let young Alex have that. But to believe in himself a bit more, to have more confidence, to be comfortable in his own skin, to be you, and don't let anybody try and mold you, but just be you. You know, just be brave enough. Because I think, and that goes to everybody, doesn't it? Just be brave enough to be you and do the things that you like and you enjoy and be the person you want to be, rather than trying to fit in and, you know, just to please everybody else. So I would tell him that.
Brilliant. I love that. So much. Alex Wheatle, it's been an absolute delight. It really has. I've been looking forward to this for so long, and you haven't disappointed me.
Okay.
Thank you
very much.
so much.
Thank you for having me.
It's been an absolute pleasure, and
good for you too.
Love
and what you're doing is
Welton
very
Blake.
important.
Thank you. Love Welton Blake. I'm hoping he'll come back. I have to say, I'd love to see more of Welton Blake's life, but.
Yes, people are already saying, Alex, are you going to write about Welton Blake again? I probably have to now.
Yeah, you definitely do.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you so much, Alex, and hopefully we'll chat again soon.
We will.
About pirates.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow, exciting.
Very exciting. Thank you so much, Alex, and we'll catch up again soon.
We will.
Take care. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Myself no more. Together we'll win it all. I ain't running, 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 ain't running from myself no more. I'm ready to face it all. If I lose myself, I lose.